So Drop is a roguelike hacking simulator, but it's much more than that. It is a fast-paced action strategy game where the player has limited time and resources to progress in the world of segmented networks. The game consists of so-called runs, where we have to break into secured networks of companies, of future companies and other organizations to obtain various data, install programs, or even disarm camera systems remotely. Moving through these networks, we have to make decisions under ever-increasing pressure, considering how much we sacrifice our security and convenience for speed, higher profits, or recognition from other hackers.
Hello, my name is Viktor Juhász, and I'm the narrative designer and the writer on Drop. We are in the future. In the game, we are in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, but in the 2060s, when Drop is taking place, this United States is not really the same as you might have imagined it now. This is a fragmented future. This is a future which has been broken into separate networks, separate city-states, separate entities, separate enclaves. So what we have here is basically, on every level, is fragmentation. And our protagonist is a hacker who is trying to make himself or herself a name by dropping into these various networks, small or huge, because that's what remained after the World Wide Web, the internet as we know it. Hundreds and hundreds of separate networks, all well protected and guarded by software, and that's the reason why in this age, in the 2060s, hackers thrive. So players have their character, which is a hacker who in the beginning only wants to gain fame, to gain money and influence, and to get as high on the ladder as it is possible.
Our game is connected, of course, a bit to hacking games like Hacknet or Uplink, but our influences go much more deeper than that. We all played role-playing games in the 80s and 90s, and there was a special hacking system in Cyberpunk 2020, which was an influence for Drop. Another influence was the original Diablo, back in the 90s as well, and we were fascinated by the random generated levels of that game. And finally, Tetris, especially the flow element of that game. Basically, you must repeat very simple moves in that game over and over again, but after a couple of minutes, it draws you into some kind of meditative state, and that was something we were looking for our game as well. We didn't want to create a new custom engine for our game. Drop is a relatively small game, so creating a brand new engine just for this would increase the timeline, the development timeline, and the budget immensely. We chose Unity, and the main reason for that is that our brilliant lead programmer, has more than 10 years of experience in it. And Unity is a very well built system to develop games like ours in it. And also we've already have the proper workflow to build our game.
My name is Gergely Buttinger. I'm the music composer of the game Drop, what is heavily inspired by the early synthesizer music of 70s, 80s and 90s. So what I want to create with these patterns and rhythmical things in the tracks, it's the tension what is inside of the Drop, the game, because you will playing a hacker who has really limited time for solving the puzzles or make the quest right, and you can nearly hear it in the background or not, but the tension is there with these funny rhythms and short things. I'm heavily inspired by the early 70s and 90s and 80s movies and soundtracks and synth sounds, especially like from Blade Runner and Alien, first Alien movie by Ridley Scott.